Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to come and catch the show live, we multi-stream on multiple different platforms. Have a look at the website at switchedtolinux.com, which will always have the latest streams listed at /live, or on the weekly news roundup. They should be on the home page. You can see what we have going on. The other thing I'm going to mention here very briefly, not to concern anybody, but as I look at my analytics, the weekly news roundup, the stream, and the two individual edited videos are the lowest view count videos we have. And that makes me wonder if I should spend as much time on it as I do, because it is the most prepared for show that I do. So I am thinking about changes in the midst. Do we bring on a co-host? If so, who might that be? Or do we change the Friday Night Live to some other completely different format? I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments down below about what we should do about the Friday night videos. But with that being said, let's go ahead and carry on with the weekly news roundup. And as I was reading through the news for this week, I got into thinking something. I'm looking at and remembering back to all the Brexit stuff, and EU and UK seem to be going in completely different directions, particularly when it comes to laws regarding to tech and privacy. And I'm wondering, is part of the Brexit to get UK away from the EU, as EU tends to embrace more of a privacy model, more of a security and tech-aware model, whereas UK really is driving fast towards a fast dystopian state. One of the articles that I kicked out tonight, partly because I had way too many articles from The Guardian, partly because it's more of just an update, but of course both Signal and WhatsApp have expressed interest in leaving UK if the recent privacy laws go. And while that happens, the EU, in the EU Parliament, they are voting to ban, and projections are this is going to pass, banning Big Brother, a facial recognition AI technology on the streets. Part of this not only is facial recognition, but also part of the law is emotional recognition. This was interesting because this would also target things. We've seen them here in the United States. They're being actively used in places like China, where they can measure your emotional state by putting on special helmets and whatever else, and they can figure out emotional prints and also how you're doing emotionally. What this privacy bill is going to look at is saying, hey, we don't want to have people running around in here and everyone always knowing exactly who's where, whatever else. We don't want any of that. We also don't want anybody utilizing these types of technologies in order to discriminate against people who are, either having a bad day. I mean, think about the emotional tech. What happens when your fish dies or something and you're not on your top game, but you're still perfectly capable of doing your job? Like, oh, there's emotional state's bad, we should throw them in the gulag for a while. Yeah, that's going to take a really bad, like a pretty bad day, and turn it into a really bad day really fast. I mean, just think about those basic things, and just how small things can impact you and your emotional state throughout the day. And it could be something completely weird, off, and irrational. And the EU, though, is looking at this, and I had to stop and ponder some of this myself this last week, because I came this close to about leaving my church. And it has to do with one of the people there was concerned about bad stuff going on in churches. We're talking like, stuff we can't say on YouTube in churches. And they suggest, well, let's get a Ring camera. And so they put up a Ring camera, and there's a guy in there that's not a member of the church that has access to it. I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this. If it's, the guy that's been there for 20 years, I'm a little bit more comfortable with it, but I still don't think that we should be doing, putting a deep state facial recognition tool in the lobby of our church. Okay. But because of the way it's set up, and I audited the way it's set up, I said, all right, I don't like it, but fine. And every time I go by, I turn that thing around. Hold up I'm just going to start making me bring a big Bible to church sometime. I'm going to walk in like this these days, That's the thing is, these laws are starting to look at who we are and what we're doing and what we're thinking. UK is fully embracing these, and EU is pushing against them. So it's very interesting to see. This actually, I think they voted on this one Thursday. So like yesterday, I didn't look for an update specifically. It's just saying, I just want to bring up the point about how those two countries are diverging. We actually have another EU law one coming up. In fact, let's go ahead. Now, I'm not going to get my notes out of order. I have enough weird stuff going on. All right. This one here is an ex-employee says TikTok spies on users, including logging what LGBT content they watch. So think about that. Now, remember, TikTok really... Okay, TikTok itself, the specific app TikTok, is actually banned in China. They push out basically a similar product with a different algorithm that pushes and drives the Chinese young people to science videos, to nationalism type things, stuff that really builds up and encourages the CCP as being a strong and powerful nation, while America, their algorithms push the most degenerate feces they've ever seen. I mean, you go through TikTok, I'd rather be walking through the streets of like Los Angeles or something, stepping over piles of feces and drug needles rather than absorb the crap that China throws at you through TikTok. But this ex-employee says TikTok is spying on their users, including keeping lists, not just of, oh, this user account, but this person is consuming X content. Great. Let's drive more people into it so we can cause a greater degeneracy on their society. That is literally their means. So TikTok maintained a list of users who watched LGBT content, which was accessible to the company's employees for at least a year, a former employee told the Wall Street Journal. So they have a master list of who watches all this stuff. They suggest here maybe the idea that China is using the app to spy on Americans and turn the kids into revolutionaries isn't so crazy after all. Well, you know, that is the playbook of China. Of course, if you read the fascinating book, I think it's either Alan Bloom or Howard Bloom. One of those was a brilliant University of Chicago professor, and the other guy wrote the book, The Lucifer Principle. Great book regardless, but they talk in there about how the CCP came about. It was done by revolutionizing the young generation, and that is what drove the country into pure Marxism, leading itself into full-fledged communism. That's how it happened. So he had details that story there. Of course, you can read that story many other places as well. But this is literally what TikTok is doing to collapse America. So here is some stuff down here. The Financial Times, Christina Criddle detailed her experience in discovering the spying in an article on Friday, saying she learned of her snooping in December from a TikTok public relations worker. Ms. Criddle wrote that TikTok snooped on her via her account she created for her cat, Buffy, which she developed to test TikTok's features. Kitty, you're not allowed to get a TikTok app. Cat's over here like, dude, I'm on TikTok. Huh. Great. Be like some Lizzo with TikTok. Though I was unaware of it, at the same time, TikTok was pushing back on reports of toxic workplaces. Several employees had decided to surveil my phone, tracking my location, hopes of finding my sources. Yeah, so that's really what TikTok's up to. So if you need more reasons to never use it, but even worse, even you say, well, I don't use TikTok. Yeah, but unless you've taken active steps to block TikTok trackers, they're still tracking you around the internet. I have a whole video about that. You should check it out. And this is the next EU one that I thought was interesting. If I had done a better job of organizing my articles, I probably would have put it out there. But hey, there was something interesting on last night, so why not? EU lawyers say plans to scan private messages for CSAM may be unlawful. So EU saying, you know what? The Protect the Children is being used to do all sorts of bad things. If you think somebody needs to be watched for protecting the children, they basically say you need to go about, get police work and figure it out. But to produce a dragnet and scan everybody's everybody's messages because you think somebody might be doing something bad is a violation of privacy rules. So if the United States keeps going the same way, I'm moving somewhere under the EU rules because they seem to be making a whole lot more sense than the Alzheimer's and the geriatrics going on inside of the White House today. In fact, in our band news tonight, we will have literally, I think Emperor Palpatine is actually sitting in the Senate right now. We'll get into that in a bit. We basically have, as some people described as a geriatric oligarchy leading this country. They are actually doing things that seem to make a little bit of sense in the EU, assuming that people, I don't know, are kind of innocent until proven guilty, and you need to have, sufficient evidence to surveil people to make sure they're not doing something bad. So basically what they're saying in this article is yeah, we do need to protect children, but doing a dragnet of everybody's devices is not the way to achieve it. So go EU. There's another one. Do I have to move over there? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If you're in the EU, is this being portrayed accurately in the media here, or what's going on? Let me know. On to our feature privacy story today. The data broker that targeted abortion clinics landed the U.S. military contract. Okay. So, of course, this is Wired, so it's left-wing stupid propaganda, a bunch of lefty morons. We see nothing except through our lens. But let's go ahead and break down the headline a little bit better. This isn't data broker that targeted abortion clinics. This is the company Safegraph. If you remember Safegraph, this is the company that was utilizing analytics in a variety of different apps, hundreds, if not thousands of apps, all seeking location data to guarantee that they were tracking your phone into every bit of location places that you were going. So Safegraph was able to put together stuff, and it wasn't just Planned Parenthood. It was all sorts of things. This was used for geofencing warrants. This was used by a variety of different organizations to decide who to target to based on where people happened to go. So this is Safegraph. And so Safegraph, with all of their location tracking, now has landed a contract with the Air Force. And this is kind of weird. Now, of course, you'll remember a couple weeks ago that the National Guard in Georgia is actually using geofencing type data in order to specifically target not only high school students, but the people influencing high school students to tell them all to go into the military. So it makes you wonder, is it something tied to that? But here the data broker made famous for selling location data related to, your leftist type stuff, signed a contract with the U.S. Air Force and plans to provide information about sensitive places and adversary state-owned enterprises around the world. According to records obtained by Wired, the company, Safegraph, told the military that its data can be used for analyzing human activity and landing zone selection, as well as to identify hospitals, schools, and houses of worship to help avoid collateral damage. Yeah, to help avoid collateral damage. Whoops. We didn't mean to drop that bomb on that church. So 74,000, like, where do they come up with these numbers? $74,888. That's very specific. Okay, not $74,889. This is $74,888. Phase 1 contract with the innovation wing of the Air Force. Safegraph discussed its products with multiple Air Force end users between November 2022 and February 2023. At the end of the contract, Safegraph told officials that it had identified several potential customers and planned to adapt its products for larger military partnerships later this year. Of course, they did not respond to multiple requests to comment. Of course, they didn't. Now, Google removed Safegraph's direct trackers, but this doesn't mean that they can't find data and use it from other trackers as well. And you can read through the rest of the article. Just basically a bunch of stuff about, why is the military utilizing a company that basically knows where almost every American is? And if you're not being cautious about the apps you install, you're caught up in all this kind of stuff as well. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do use affiliates around here, and today we are highlighting DigitalOcean. So DigitalOcean will give you $200 in credit, good for 60 days. You can spin up a lot of little droplets. You can host Nextcloud servers, you can do website servers, you can do VPNs, all that kind of cool stuff that you can do with server technology, cloud-based stuff. You can go ahead and do it with DigitalOcean. TLM.li/DOH. Give you $200 in credit, good for 60 days. And you can go ahead and get started over there, see what works for you. And with that, let's head on over to our security news today. So today, of course, it is another day ending in Y, so we have another WordPress plugin vulnerability. This one is particularly bad because this is one of the most common plugins that I see when I'm taking over somebody's sites, and I just do one of these going, why in the hell is anybody using this plugin? It overcomplicates something that every website in WordPress manages natively anyway. You just haven't, you script kiddies just haven't figured out all of the options of going up to the little top screen, saying enable custom posts, and then going down and doing something with custom posts. So this is advanced custom fields. Both the free and the paid pro version was found to be vulnerable to XSS. So this allows an attacker, if you have this on your website, it allows an attacker to run a, I think it's run an SQL command in it and get your, basically get admin access to your site. It's going to allow them to get in there, steal a whole lot of code, take over the site, and if you happen to log in on a admin panel, they can do all sorts of fun nasties with it. So this has been patched. So the patch addresses the flaws are brought up to 6.1.6. And you just have to be really careful when you're running WordPress plugins. WordPress itself as a core is secure enough. It's the plugins that are what creates the backdoors in WordPress. And the problem is WordPress, the big limitations WordPress has is there's a lot of core functions that WordPress should have native in its core that it doesn't support, like forcing SSLs. WordPress doesn't do that. You need plugins for that. Of course, they're cramming that crappy page builder that literally nobody likes on everybody. And this is why the plugins that eliminate that crap are also huge on the WordPress store. But you have to start adding a lot of extra plugins for basic functionality, and that really is part of the problem. So if you are running a WordPress website with advanced custom fields, make sure you push those updates as soon as you possibly can. All right, coming up next, new Android flu house malware steals your passwords and your 2FA codes. So they're forcing everybody to do 2FA and use 2FA, use 2FA. Yeah, this malware steals your 2FA. So your 2FA is no longer safe when they're sitting there, 2FA, 2FA. By the way, I think the way this thing works, if I'm reading this right, and all their new passwordless stuff will probably be vulnerable to this as well. So just be aware, just be aware. There's no way, basically, you cannot be stupid. This is called Flu Horse, been discovered targeting users in Eastern Asia with malicious apps that imitate legitimate versions. Malware was discovered by Checkpoint Research, which reports that it has been targeting various sectors of East Asia since May of 2022. Flu Horse malware is distributed via email, while its goal is to steal the target's account credentials and credit card data. If needed, it will snatch two-factor authentication codes. So this is actually targeting banking apps. So here's one in Vietnam. Here's one in Taiwan. One of these is the legitimate. One of these is the fake one. And literally the fake one has been downloaded by over 100,000 people. All right, so you just get on there, you see the app logo, and you looks like the right one. You install it, you don't realize that you have installed the malicious version of the software. So that's what we have here. We're not going to go into all that. Of course, you can go down to the description, follow the link, and get a link to all of the articles here so you can read the details for yourself. Here's here's a new piece of malware. This is Aurora Stealer. This actually mimics a Windows update because, of course, everybody is used to their computer just dropping into the working on update screen quite randomly. So that's exactly what this piece of malware does. It just gets itself loaded and then pulls the screen up, and then you can actually close the screen unlike the real Windows one, and it'll just pull the screen up, and then working behind it, it's just taking its time to download and install the malicious malware. So this one, I believe, is from, I think this was from a malvertising campaign, if I remember correctly. So this becomes obvious when downloading the file named chromeupdate.exe. So here's the elements going on. So here's the chromeupdate.exe is being downloaded here. And so you can see here's where it's actually doing this. So this is basically just a full screen web page. All they're doing is just triggering the web page to go full screen, and you think your computer is going through a system update. They are saying this is fully undetectable malware in that it isolates itself outside of the sandboxes that malware is designed to scan through. So while some virus tools can catch it, most of them still cannot catch the malwares going on in the background. So that's kind of fun and exciting. These are the actual usernames that you'll get in the updates, and you'll see that from 4.2 up to 4.3, you'll see a few of them. They've been progressing from like blah, 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 blah.exe all the way up to chromeupdate.exe. They've gotten sophisticated. This is why ChatGPT said, hey, we think that sdfgh1.exe sounds a little suspicious. Let's change this to chromeupdate.exe. Thank you, ChatGPT. You're making it more efficient. Here is your detections. So not even detected until just a little under a month ago. And there's a lot more details in here. Just be aware if your computer all of a sudden goes into some working on updates thing and it appears as though it's just a full screen web page. Hit that F11 key and see what's going on behind the iron curtain there. And on to our last one, health data breaches. Of course, yesterday we had that really crappy stream talking about smart toilets. And of course, Salbu did comment back later and said it was a smart toilet seat that was approved, not the smart toilet. So my apologies. I am fake news. I said it was a smart toilet was approved. It was really a smart toilet seat was approved. But with all of that stuff, collecting all of your data, you sit down, you SH down, and then the thing collects all of your data, sends it to some medical company where hackers can just come by and steal it. So the data, next-gen healthcare suffered a data breach. It exposed personal information of about 1 million individuals. 1 million people had their data stolen in this. Now, in this particular breach, according to the company, they did not actually steal the health information. They just stole your name, birth date, address, social security number. So that's what they got on this particular one. So this is one of the companies that does the electronic health record. So this is one of the companies your doctor's office probably uses because according to the laws that were passed to start mandating these, a doctor doesn't have to do these. Okay, but if they don't do these, the government's going to come by and give you a lot of fining. We have there is a subscriber on this channel that used to be in the medical field and quit the medical field because of these. Because he's like, I'm not using that kind of stuff. Now, if you use it, you're going to get some rebates and some kid gloves going on any inspections of your facilities. But if you're still doing things on paper in a very private and secure manner, they're going to tax you extra. They're going to fine you extra. And you're going to be paying a lot more money as a doctor if you're not participating in electronic health records. So the government has forced everybody to give all their information into these companies, and then the company just leaked all that information out. Now, we need to repeal that crap and say if a doctor's office wants to keep it private, then, yeah, we need to keep it private. Of course, their purpose is to make sure that doctors aren't prescribing. The same doctors or multiple different doctors aren't prescribing the same pain pills to the same guy, A doctor doing his due diligence is not going to. All right. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there. You can help us to keep the channel going. And with that, thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see you all next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.